welcome to Dusk, another episode where you saw the title. We're going to be talking about some crazy shit today. We're going to be talking about clearing entities and shadow work. Before we get started, I'd love to introduce myself. My name is Zamira. I'm a psychic, energy worker, and a mystic here to share what I've learned along my journey whenever it comes to psychic abilities, psychic development, psychic protection, and honestly, all of this other stuff that has to do with spiritualism. Thank you so much for being here and for clicking on the video. Before we get started, I am a psychic, and if you're looking for clarity in your life or need help detangling something in your life, head to my website and get yourself a psychic reading. I'd love to work with you guys, and if that's not something you're looking for, you need more help in the psychic protection kind of realm, head to my past videos on psychic attack, or you can even head to my website and find my comprehensive guide to psychic protection that I've written just for you, so you feel even more confident in psychically protecting yourself. Let's start. You saw the title. We're going to be talking very, very deeply about shadow work and how it has a crazy relationship with clearing entities that you may have not even realized. I'm going to be breaking down how I do shadow work and some of the practices that have really helped me clear things out of my life on a physical and energetic level, both ways, guys. I want to be talking about the relationship between shadow work and clearing, going deeper into how to actually do the shadow work, and then giving you a little bit of background around entities, kind of demystifying them a bit, and just how it kind of works in the context of clearing. So thank you so much for being here. Let's just get right into it. This relationship between shadow work and clearing work. As I've been working with my mentor on how to clear inorganic energies a lot more, I realized that there was some actual stuff in my life that was flaring up. For me, it was really emotionally messing with me, and I just knew that I had to do shadow work around it. That's a really good tip, actually. Like, if you feel like something in your life is really, really bothering you, it's really getting you emotional, you have this like background noise almost of just like sadness along with your whole entire day, that's when you know doing shadow work is a really, really great step to take. However, I wasn't just doing shadow work, I was also working on clearing work. Whenever I was doing a clearing for myself, nearly after 2 hours of doing clearing work, at the end of the session, all of a sudden the air started being really, really dense. And I could tell that there was another entity that was appearing and causing a bit of a ruckus. Like, literally the air felt dense. I was forced to lay down from my previous sitting position. I felt suffocated. I felt off. Something weird was happening. And I have felt this presence before in my life too. So I asked my spirit guides, I was like, what's going on? This is weird. Like, something is wrong. And they ended up showing me that we were in battle and that there was an entity that was upset that I was getting too close to her territory. And it ended up being this like slay bitch demon harpy babe, except she was like evil. So I knew immediately, well, by the vibes, like, no matter how hot she is, she's evil. She's got to go. So I tried clearing her out in that moment in time, but because I was already spending so much time and energy on clearing before she popped up, I literally did not have any of the energy. So I had to pick up the clearing session later, and it literally took me 2 hours to clear her completely. It was really, really annoying. Between those two sessions, I took like a day and a half of a break, and I was contemplating. I was like, should I clear? Like, should I be doing this? Is this the right move to do? And I could just tell, yeah, my guides kept pinging me like, yeah, girl, you need to clear. And I could especially feel it in my human self because there was this background noise of sadness. Thoughts were all haywire, self-esteem, self-love out the window, just feeling super anxious, very close to the symptoms I was telling you guys about in the previous episode with psychic attack. So that's whenever I knew, especially, okay, we're not done clearing, let's clear her out. This next session, I ended up clearing her out successfully, but she left me a gift. I was seeing eggs still left in my system even after she was gone. And I could tell, like, the energy was so much more uplifted. I felt like a weight was lifted off of me. I could tell that she was gone, but my guides literally showed me in my third eye that there were eggs still left over, which was crazy, right? So I literally felt insane after this whole experience because I'm like, am I making this up? Like, I'm seeing shit and I'm feeling shit. That I know for sure. But am I literally going insane? So I had to go to my mentor and be like, hey girl, am I insane now? Is this just the way it's gonna be from now on? Or like, or am I doing something right here? She was basically intuitively checking for me on whether or not I was doing this work, and she was able to validate things that I saw but never communicated with her. And after getting that validation, I was like, oh my God, thank God. And she was like, yeah, congratulations. You like cleared your first entity. Just like make sure you take care of the eggs and stuff like that. After I was able to have that like validation, like you're not crazy. There's something going on here. Also the fact that she was able to literally pick up exactly what I was seeing, like word for word. It was insane. That kind of showed me there's something going on here. Like if somebody else is picking up exactly what I was picking up without me communicating that with them, something is going on here. And so I've been having my own theories and my own findings based off of my experience. Whenever it comes to doing this clearing work, it's highly, highly connected to your shadows. And so what I found is that shadow work and clearing work are hand in hand with one another. They literally reinforce each other and make each other so much more powerful. So if you want to be a good energy worker, you have to be a good shadow worker. If you want to be a good shadow worker, you have to understand that there's also energetic implications of your shadow work. And that's why it's so important. You can take a totally pragmatic and very grounded approach to it, but it doesn't make the energy work that you're doing with it any less mystical or any less powerful. And one of my favorite things about shadow work is also you can make it as woo-woo as you need to clear whatever you're looking to clear. So I want to talk about that and really show you guys how you can empower yourself, take your shadow work practice to another level, and honestly just really break it down to you in a very succinct way, because I do notice that whenever it comes to a lot of spiritual concepts, we really do dilute and water down the actual practices that we're doing. We say that we need to do certain things, but we don't exactly explain how. And so that's what I want to go into this episode with you on, is how can we start the shadow work so you can get introduced to these clearing concepts. It's super important for you to be doing shadow work if you're doing any type of energy working at all, whether it is just cleansing your house, whether it's cleansing to yourself, or doing actual energy manipulation and moving, because the shadow work will literally help you create new and better patterns. So you can do as much clearing work as you possibly want, but it'll never stay completely clear and you'll never close the chapter on whatever you're working on unless you're able to create better patterns. That's why shadow work is so important and why it reinforces your clearing work so well. If you're not able to build that new and healed pattern, then you will always be going back to the lesson that you need to complete. It's like a karmic thing. You understand what I'm saying? So it's really important for you to kind of have the shadow work process nailed down before you get into energy working and manipulation. And if anything, it's probably more important than just taking some sage to your house, you know, even though sage to your house is very, very helpful. But the same things will keep coming back unless you're able to create those new and healed patterns. And the reason for this is because whether you're aware of it or not, your thoughts, your behaviors, your actions, they are all mechanisms in which you're able to communicate to the spirit world, whether you're intending to or not. okay? It's all energy. It's the energy that you're putting out into the universe. Whatever you're putting out, you get back in, right? So if you're speaking lowly of yourself, if you are indulging in those negative thoughts or just lower thought forms in general, lower vibes in general, you're technically making an agreement with a lower vibe energy, and it starts to affect your life. It really kicks up the law of attraction, and it starts impacting like everything in your life. What you want to do whenever you're doing your clearing work is really make sure that whatever you're clearing, you clean up in your actions, in your thoughts and your words. So that way you're not making agreements with the spirits that don't really have your best interest in mind. At first, this can sound really scary and like makes you paranoid, but do not worry. This actually empowers you even more than you originally think, because this means that by choosing the right thoughts, by choosing the right actions, behaviors, and words, you're able to clear just by doing that, which is actually extremely powerful. And you're able to shift things instantaneously if that's what you're wanting to do. And actually, the normal person, the average normal person who does not even do any work like this, I mean, you're still a person, you still have an aura, you still have energy, they still interact with the spirit world on a day-to-day, and they may not even realize it. So normies will be clearing beliefs and clearing distorted energy just through working out or going to therapy, working stuff out in their mind, journaling. Those average good habits are actually really, really powerful to reinforce this positive energy that you're looking for, to disrupt the patterns that keep you in these karmic loops, replaying the same lessons over and over again. So it's actually very empowering. Like, you know what you need to do to feel better. That is energy work. If you are feeling overwhelmed about the concept of entities and doing the shadow work or whatever, don't even worry about that. Just start at taking care of yourself and doing things that bring you to bliss. That in itself can be very, very clearing. And once you're ready to go deeper, then do that. So non-energy workers can clear all the time with doing the normal things that they know they're supposed to do. But for witches, we're playing in the energetic planes a lot, and we are working in different realms. We're trying to talk to other spirits. We're putting different kinds of energies out there. So things can get stickier for the average witch. You want to really know how to protect yourself if you are doing anything like divinating, spell crafting, meditation, talking to your guides, any sort of communication with the spirit world, of course. Really ensure that you are protecting yourself. And one of the things that make you a better psychic, a better witch, is shadow work. This path, the path of magic essentially, is not just about getting what you want, right? Whenever we approach magic, we always think about, what do we want? What do we desire? What do we want to manifest? What do we want to create for ourselves? And essentially, that's what we are. We are creators. But at the end of the day, it's not just that. There's also introspection, reflection, evolution, and refinement in our energy that needs attending to. And that's the thing. Good witches, they'll make spells that work. They'll do manifestation rituals. They'll work with the moon. Better witches do shadow work all on top of that. It's really easy to get into this shadow working trap where you just kind of think of things that bother you and then you want to just go and do the shadow work around it. But let me just tell you, your spirit team, your guides, and God makes it very, very easy for you to tell what you need to shadow work on. Things will literally flare up in your life. Like if there's an insecurity you have, or there's something that you haven't been paying attention to, or whatever, you'll notice things that have happened before, and it's a pattern for you, will start to be worse and worse to the point where it makes you so uncomfortable that you're like, I can't just ignore this. It'll force you to pay attention. So If you're trying to look at, okay, well, I want to do shadow work, I don't even know where to start though, right? Because all of us have so much clearing and shadow working to do that it's like, sometimes it's overwhelming. It's like, well, I want to clear this thing, my money beliefs, my self-love beliefs, my relationship issues. Like, I want to be able to clear it all off the bat. And realistically, you're going to have to focus on one thing at a time, and your spirit team is going to be so helpful in letting you know what is it that you need to start with. I would recommend, if you are feeling down on yourself and there's something bothering you and you just can't put your finger on it, that's where you start. And just trust that your life is showing you and is paving a path for you to start on your healing journey. One last bit that I want to talk about is that the energetic plane and the physical plane are not one-to-one. You cannot say that you are having the problem of X because of Y. You can't exactly say, oh, X is happening because there's an entity attached to it and it's really fucking me up. It's instead that X could be happening because there's an entity attached to it. It's merely a variable. Life and even the energetic planes are way too complex to say that both of these things are one-to-one and that blank is happening because a spirit is attacking you. So I want to make it very, very clear that they are not one-to-one. As we get into this work of talking about entities, I do want to make sure to note that you are not a bad person for having entity attachments, and that nearly everybody has entity attachments, and that there are so many. Like, all of us have so many entity attachments. It is our responsibility to clear them. That's very similar to what we talk about whenever we talk about family trauma, right? Like, everybody has their own trauma, but it's your responsibility to heal whatever happened around that and not lash out to it. Now I want to talk to you about my process on shadow work, my findings around it, and things that can just help you take it to the next level. I'll have this episode transcription on my website, or if you're on Apple Podcasts, there is already one for you on the app. So that way you can kind of see what I'm talking about here, and maybe it'll be easier for you to take notes in whenever you're able to read these things. I also have a shadow work article on my website that's very, very well drafted, though it doesn't have all the things I'm going to tell you today. So go and check it out if you need things broken down and right in front of you, and I'll be going into it even more here as well. Shadow work is a term coined by Carl Jung, a psychotherapist back in the day. Everybody talks about him. Everybody loves him. Shadow work was created to be a practice that helps you delve into your subconscious beliefs and really try and find deep-seated, unhealed traumas for you to address. And my approach to it is through emotional release and working with your thoughts and looking at your life to objectively see the events and how everything is playing out, so that way you can kind of respond to life instead of just thinking about doing something and thinking that you should have done it better. You actually go and look at the events in your life to look back on them and see, is the shadow work that I'm doing really working? Is this something that I am healing? Shadow work is absolutely a very, very intuitive process, so don't worry about doing it right or wrong. I'm merely just giving you some structure so that way you're able to make it more impactful for yourself. I'm going to give you several exercises on how you can start to dig and find out clues towards the goal of finding a distorted belief that does not work for you anymore. And the first route we can take is an emotional perspective. Emotionally, this goes for every single day. And if you catch yourself feeling miserable in general, maybe set aside some time in your day to really just sit through and feel deeply what you're going through. Your human experience is very, very important, and your emotions are data points on how you're feeling in the moment and how you're handling things in life, data points towards what you're believing, what you're allowing yourself to believe, and if you're not able to get a handle on your emotions, how you're likely to react to the emotions or the stimuli in your life. The best way to handle your emotions is to make them your superpower. Feel into them as deeply as you can. I'm not saying lash out at people. I'm not saying make everybody else responsible for your emotions. I am saying make sure you set some time to yourself to really deeply feel into them. Okay? It's so important. A lot of our society operates on smothering emotions. So whether it's food, sex, drugs, TV, breads and circuses, people, any of that stuff really smothers your emotional experience and is distracting you in a way. And we have some tendencies to put those things in priority rather than feeling our emotions deeply and understanding how things are affecting us. Emotions are at times very illogical, even if they're strong. But the approach here is not necessarily to act on the emotions, but rather to feel them deeply and accept them, to radically accept what you are feeling. That deserves your acceptance no matter what. You are allowed to feel. Don't be afraid to feel. And if anybody is telling you you shouldn't feel one way and you absolutely do feel one way, they're wrong. I don't care how crazy your emotion is, you have to feel it. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean it's right or logical, but you got to work on it. You've got to feel it. You got to feel it to heal it. You have to go through it to get past it, right? There's no way you can just look away from it and be like, no, I'm not going to look at that. I'm not going to work on that because no, it's too uncomfortable, right? You have to go through it. For emotional release, if you're having issues really bringing yourself through your emotions, I have this practice that I talk about a lot everywhere called Be Your Own Best Friend. Sit yourself down in front of yourself at a mirror and take yourself through it. Just ask yourself, how are you doing today? What's going on? How are you feeling? Just you and your human, and have a discussion with yourself. Get as deep as possible and be brutally honest with yourself, not in a rude way, but so honest that you're able to feel the emotion come up and reveal itself to you. This technique really requires a lot of patience, a lot of honesty, a lot of acceptance. Don't ever shame yourself for how you're feeling. Just try to understand where the emotion is coming from, why you're feeling it, and that you deserve to feel it. This can kind of help you get to the root cause of what is it that's driving you so upset? What belief system have you built? What belief have you built? What story have you built that's driving you insane? This allows for a lot of juicy data points on what kind of shadow working you need to do. Also gives you emotional release and removes some of the charge and the intensity from the shadow work that you're going to be performing on yourself. The next thing is utilizing your thoughts, really peering at your thoughts and understanding them. Also to find more data points on what beliefs you have that need to be rectified. And I've actually learned this specific technique from the holistic psychologist. The goal here is really to rewire your brain and your thoughts for positivity. So really cultivating the self-awareness of what is going on in your brain and what kind of thoughts you're producing is so powerful. It's the first step of this. So the first thing you really need to do is meditation and have a lot more self-awareness with your thoughts. It's very important that you're able to catch the information and understand what kind of energy you're throwing out into the universe, right? Because that really racks up law of attraction, and you just want to make sure that the energy you're putting out there is correct. Also, because what we talked about before, not only law of attraction, but attracting spirits that don't want the best for you. If you're constantly thinking, I'm a loser, I hate myself, and blah, 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 you're going to attract an entity or attract an energy that reinforces your belief, that agrees with you, because no matter what, The universe just wants to respond to you. It just wants to give you what you want. And the way that you're able to convey that to the universe is by using your thoughts, your words, your actions. And if you are choosing thoughts, words, and actions that say you don't deserve love, well then fine, the universe will bring you something that enforces that. So you really want to make sure you're telling the universe that you want things that actually work for you. So catch your thoughts. If you have any thought distortions, write them down, really look at them, and be honest with yourself on what's going through your mind. Now is to question those thoughts. So take the most prevalent thoughts that are going through your mind that are causing you a lot of pain and go through each of those thoughts and challenge them. Okay, you want to really deconstruct, is this even true? Why is this thought even here? Some other prompts you could do is, what is this thought trying to bring attention to? Is this thought attached to a memory or a person? When was the first time I had this thought? How does this thought truly make me feel? Is this thought even correct? How does this thought serve me? And does it still serve its purpose in a positive way? Things like that. You can even use your own prompts. You can also use your intuition to know what questions you need to be asking yourself, but just basically trying to understand where the thought is coming from. If you don't understand where the thought is coming from, how can you harness the power to really make sure that it doesn't make its way into your brain rent-free anymore? You can begin to create a strategy that really makes sure that you are invoking the correct kinds of energies in your life. And then lastly is completion and replacement. Rewrite the thoughts and beliefs that you have. Likely, as you've deconstructed them and questioned them, you've kind of found how they may be illogical, how they may be holding you back. Even if it is logical, you'll understand more context around that thought and how it may not be serving you. If it's making you feel bad, it's not serving you, okay? So rewrite it. Rewrite the thought into something you would rather feel, something that's more constructive for you. Even if you don't believe it yet, even if it feels like bullshit, rewrite the belief, and that'll really help you self-correct yourself anytime this wound comes up, and that will help you to interrupt the pattern a bit more. You can apply all of the data points that you've found and go on to this next practice that I've found is really, really awesome. It's called Bedtar, BEDTAR, and I actually learned this from the ye old Erin Dowdy, and I love being able to use the techniques I told you about, those data points, and to input them into the structure. It's basically understanding the cycle of how beliefs are created, okay? And this cycle is your beliefs turn into emotions, emotions turn into thoughts, thoughts turn into decisions, decisions turn into actions, actions turn into results, and your results reinforce your belief. So what you want to do is rewrite the script. Include all of the information you found from the previous exercises on how your current reality is with this particular problem. So let's say it's a money thing, right? So this is my money belief. These are the emotions that come along with my money belief, the thoughts, the decisions, the actions, and the real life results that I have with this belief. So you write down all of that information and then you rewrite it into the preferred way that you would like to have with throughout all of these categories. So rewriting beliefs, emotions, thoughts, decisions, actions, results, beliefs all over again. Doing this, I find, really helps you go deeper and to understanding how your beliefs really encroach on everything in your life. What I've found whenever we're looking at this from an energetic perspective, right? So this was more of like a physical perspective, what you can do mentally to help yourself. Let's move on to the energetic portion of this conversation. What I found is that the belief is your agreement with an entity, good or bad. And then the emotions, thoughts, decisions, actions, results are all the ways that that entity manifests the agreement into your life. This cycle, you can either have it work for you or work against you. It's really up to you and how honest you want to be with yourself and how deep you want to go. So let's move on to the entities portion. I want to start off with my harpy. My harpy that I cleared along with her eggs was a personification of vengeance. That's why she was there in my life. There have been patterns within me where I have a lot of anger, I have a lot of angst, and I want to work on it. Like, I want to have the angst. I want to be angry. Obviously, I don't actually want those things, but there is something within me, or was something within me, that wanted to do it. And this harpy was the energetic representation of that agreement that I had with her within me. I was able to get rid of the harpy by clearing her out and understanding, where did this come from? Why is it here? Why do I want to agree to it? Being really honest with myself on, how did this even get here in the first place? And like, where is she from? Blah, blah, blah. All of the shadow work stuff that we just talked about helped me explore more about why she made her way into my system. So yes, she would be considered an entity. And usually we attribute the word entity with a negative connotation. On an energetic level, what an entity feels like is a spirit that holds a particular vibration that either drains you or guides you. So, right, there can be negative entities. There can also be divine entities. There can be entities that guide you, that want to support you, like your spirit guides, your spirit team, and just all of that stuff. But there can also be bad ones that want to drain you and feed off of you. You can usually see these entities with your mind's eye or just using your clair senses if we're trying to clear it on this energetic level. First off, you want to make sure you're doing the shadow work processes with all of this. But for beginners, for people who are wanting to get into energy work and you're a witch and you just want to like figure it out and start working with this, meditate with high frequency music after you're doing your shadow work. That'll really help you release and just kind of make these like energetic tweaks to make sure that you're clearing what you want to clear. Now, there are more advanced ways to do this. However, I'm even a newbie to this concept as well, and it's something that I've been practicing and that I know I can do, but I'm not quite at the level where I want to just sit here and coach you guys through it, because I really want to make sure I have my process down. So find another teacher to help you clear. The gist of it is that you work with your spirit team to help you clear these things, but work with a teacher because it can be a little high risk whenever it comes to playing with your energy. And the thing is with these entities, like they can come from anywhere. Like the harpy that I was talking about is an underworld entity. And right now I'm going through an underworld journey where I am discovering what the underworld is and discovering the shadow, multiple dimensions of the shadow, and understanding like where in the spiritual realms do I have attachments to whenever it comes to doing the shadow work. But even that stuff I'm still like trying to untangle and figure out for myself. So once I know, I will let you know. But these entities can come from many different places. I have just been really good at finding things in the underworld for right now. And we'll see if other things open up more. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. On a physical level, these entities are the same thing. It's a thought form, a story, a way of being that is either disempowering you or really hyping you up. If it is disempowering you, you'll feel it. You'll feel the manifestation of it as anxiety, fear, hopelessness, and other things that just leave you in a not so great mood. You can't see it, but you can feel it affecting you. You can feel it in your energy. Whenever your energy is just feeling wonky, something's not right, you feel off, chances are it's an entity attachment at times. It can easily be mistaken as your own energy, especially in the beginning, whenever you're trying to understand what energy even is and how to play with it. When you're feeling down on yourself, it's not because of you. It might be something else that's trying to feed off of that agreement you possibly made. It may cause the symptoms also that I listed in the psychic attack episode. So the paranoia, the bad dreams, stuff like that. If it's really bad, it'll affect you in those ways as well. So I highly recommend watching that episode if you are interested in this subject at all, because that'll really help you protect yourself. Essentially, at the end of the day, what clearing entities is and what the main function is clearing stories and beliefs that do not serve you. Therefore, clearing entities and parasites and many other things that are actually in our fields that we have no fucking clue how they even got there, or many other things in your field. So whenever you drop these beliefs and stories, you stop making agreements with the wrong spirits that don't want the best for you. And this stops their invitation into your field, and it stops. It's really impactful. Like, it's kind of crazy. Even whenever I do shadow work, it's kind of crazy the difference I feel before doing shadow work and clearing entities to after doing the shadow work and clearing entities. Like, I feel like I'm back to myself, and this really helps you get back to who you really are. That's what this practice is for. It's not to stir the pot in the spiritual realms. It's more so to remember who you are and to peel back the layers on the stuff that you're dealing with as a human, perhaps even from past lives and such. Some things that I want to add on top of everything that I have talked about is that this is all for the purpose of finding bliss, of anchoring bliss and happiness in your life. Okay, this is not so that way we can rub salt in the wounds. This is not so that way we can create bigger problems or call ourselves bad, taking responsibility for our thoughts, actions, beliefs, and emotions so much to the point where we're punishing ourselves for them. It's about radical self-acceptance and anchoring happiness, letting go of things that do not serve you, letting go of the burdens and the energies that you do not want to carry anymore. That's what this is about. My guides want to make it very clear that that's what this is about. Even though the stuff sounds really heavy and it can get dark very fast, that is what this work is about. And it's very important that if you wish to anchor light, you must face the darkness, because we all have it. As uncomfortable it is to say that, to know that, but that's the reason why we have it. The reason why we have it is so that way we can anchor light, basically reinforce that light to become stronger. Another thing is, don't worry about doing this process right or wrong. If you are very worried about that, make sure you're listening to your intuition and to what God is trying to show you in your life. So that way you can start to anchor that bliss and understand okay, well, it seems like my guides really want me to work on this. This is flaring up in my life right now. So this is probably something that I need to pay attention to and work on. Really just take into account on how life is responding to you, and you will find the path that helps you find more freedom in your energy and help you feel more loose and more happy and lighter in general. That's why all of this work is here. That's why I created this episode. And I know in this episode I sound way more matter of fact rather than silly, goofy like I usually am. And the reason for that is because I just really want to make it very clear on how to do this work and take it seriously. This is to be taken seriously. Okay, guys? Shadow work is necessary for all spiritual baddies out there. If you're not doing it, I don't want you practicing on me. I don't want your energy on me if you're not doing your shadow work. I mean, thinking about it on a physical level, you want self-aware friends. You want people who can regulate themselves, but also are able to hear you out and understand your perspective, even if they don't agree with it. Shadow work sets you up for success in that way, in being able to become more of yourself, to be more authentic to yourself, and also to attract you to the situations and people that are matching that energy with you as well. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that you have more of a glimpse on how entities interact with the shadow work process and how it has everything to do with clearing energy. And I really hope you enjoyed. Coming up, I was thinking about doing an episode on anchoring like positive energies, working with positive deities, God in general, on how we can anchor more love and light. And as I started pondering on it with my guides, they really just bring me back to you are unable to sturdily anchor positive energies if you have gunk. You need to clear the gunk to integrate positivity, to integrate all of the stuff that you are desiring. Because if you don't have space for it, then it's going to be forgotten. You're going to let go of it eventually again, and you're going to be kept in this like cycle. So it's way more important to clear at first before you start like adding all of these like positive like self-love spells and like goddess work, deity work, all of that stuff. It's so much better to clear first, so that way you're able to really anchor those energies in whenever you have the space, the energetic space to do that. So you'll notice like for me in my experience, whenever I was like, I want to do like a self-love spell, I want to start anchoring like positive stuff into my life, God started flaring up some of the situations in my life that show me where I'm not loving myself enough, where I'm being more critical of myself. They'll start to highlight all of the distortion I have around the subject. Because if you don't deal with that, you're pretty much just like giving empty promises to yourself and to the universe. You know what I mean? It's a shell of a working if you're unable to clear it. So I really hope you enjoyed this episode, even though it was more informational. I really hope you enjoyed. And again, if you want to work with me, head to my website, heyurpsychic.com, heyurpsychic.com. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think about it in the comments, or you can send me a DM, an email at heyurpsychic@gmail.com, spelt the same way. Thank you so much for being here with me and watching this. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.